Welcome back to another episode of A Gift from Adversity. My name is Juri Love. I'm your host. Thank you for joining us today. We have a guest, Joe McGee, who is a filmmaker, producer. And before I introduce Joe, I just wanted to tell everyone how are you doing? And thank you again for listening to A Gift from Adversity. If you have any questions, please type any questions. And also, it's going to be available on anchor.fm after this live and on Spotify as well. So I started this program because A Gift from Adversity is my book that's available on Amazon, Barnes Nobles. I published it in 2020 in hopes of advocating for other people who went through adversity. The subtitle is Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, Bullying, and Homelessness. I have experienced all of these, and I decided to write about it. And response are really great, but it's very sad that a lot of people went through all these adversities. But I felt really compelled to create this show where people can talk about adversity specifically and share how they overcame their adversities and empower other people. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Joe, please tell us who you are and then what you do.
Absolutely. So my name is Joe McGee. I'm a accidental author and an accidental filmmaker, and we'll kind of touch base on both of those topics. And so basically, I'm a writer, director, producer, actor, DOP. So I wear many hats. I am a founder of McGee Productions. It's a film company here in New England. And we've been basically, my tagline is turning novels into films since 2017. So, kind of, we'll rewind for a moment. How did we get to that point? Well, in 2016, this book, it was self-published and it's now traditionally published. It's out there on Amazon. It's called Leadership Lessons Inspired by a 6-Year-Old. This was my first nonfiction novel, more in the leadership management spectrum. And what we did is after I published this book is we did certain video reenactments of chapters of the book. And that's kind of how I fell in love with filmmaking. Is I saw my work come alive, and that was just fantastic. But what the premises of the book is something beautifully happened in 2009. Is I became a manager, and I also had the birth of my first child. So oftentimes in management, there's no operation manual how to be an effective manager. So how do you do that? So I felt that there's a lot of transparencies between raising children and raising corporate teams. And I kind of used the simplicity of that mentality in my workplace. And it was very effective. I got a lot of recognition in the corporate world in 2009. We'll kind of talk specifically about examples, but by using these practices, I was recognized by the CEO in a town hall meeting. I was able to get the CEO to actually come to our, we're talking about a Fortune 500 company here. And he came and actually shook hands with my peers and spent the time all about me just talking to him, what we're going to do, increase morale. I mean, how often do you as an employee have the opportunity to not just, see your CEO, but meet them, ask them questions? I mean, that's big. So that's something that I really took and just went with it. And we can talk a little bit about more examples. But before we do that, if you had any questions on that before I dive into that, I'm open on that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Joe. And how do you like filmmaking?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Is there is some challenges, and you have to fight through adversity. You have to be quick on your feet. I'll tell you a quick example. This happened, I believe, in 2019. I'm very meticulous, right? So if I have a location or a vehicle, I want to be sure that's booked months ahead of time and it's all committed. So there was a scene, an exterior scene we were doing in Connecticut, and I had actors from all walks of life. I had an actor from Pennsylvania driving about 5 hours, right? And the car that we were using was a convertible, but the only caveat to that was is if it rains, he can't come. And guess what happened? It started raining. Here we are, the day of the shoot. Well, what am I going to do? I got an actor in PA. He's here already. I got all these actors kind of emerging here. I got to do this scene. I thought about canceling it, but I got my people here. That's just a mess. So you got to think quick on your feet. So I did have a backup plan where I was going to use another car that would kind of fit the scene, but I wasn't really happy with it. But here's the miracle thing of it is I was on the way to the set. It's an exterior set outside of a building. We shot inside the building, but we don't have access to the inside. The owner said we could use the exterior. He wasn't there. So on the way to the set, I'm about 5 minutes away. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm a guy. I have to pee, right? So I go into this industrial park and I kind of find an area. I kind of park off to the side. I do my business. As I'm leaving, this is the kicker. What do I see on my way out? A sign, a beautiful classic car. I don't know this building. I don't know these people. I approached the gentleman. His name was Ray. After talking to him, told him what I was doing. Am I literally filming down the road? I would love to showcase your beautiful car. Because you got to remember, when you're talking to other people, it's not about you. It's a mutual gain. You got to really pitch it correctly, pitch it appropriately. And he was all for it. So in 2 minutes, I had a replacement car, and I fought through that troubled time. That could have been a disaster, and it worked out well. So there's moments of just really happiness, and there's going to be struggles like that, but I worked through it. So I just love things like that, solving problems.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you for sharing what you do
Sure,
and some of the moments. But let's actually focus on the main part of our show, which
sure.
is to talk about adversity.
Yep.
So even business or personal life, what was your first adversity that you can share with our
Yeah, I'm
audience?
going to actually refer back to my book, and this story is how I fought through adversity in the workplace. Where I have a new team that I'm actually managing, and I'm a younger guy back then. I'm still, I'm not, too old now, but I was in my late 30s, and these folks were, 60, 70 years old, and you really got to get them to respect you. And one of the ways I did that was I applied my practices at home, and I brought them in the workplace. To give you an example, what had happened is there was a time where my daughter found the pearl necklace, and she decided to give it to her teacher. Teacher wrote a note, says, hello, Ursula, thank you for the pearl necklace. Now we can be sisters. Well, I didn't give her a pearl necklace. So I went through the teaching of teaching my child basically the techniques of, this is something you can't do just because someone's not wearing it. It's not yours. And I developed off of that theory, I developed something called the LTA principle. Based on that concept through the teaching of my daughter, she went to the school, did a lesson. L stands for learn it. T stands for teach it. A stands for apply it. So I bridged the simplicity of my daughter's struggle and what had happened, and I brought it into the workplace. And what we did is in the workplace, the L was learn. I know my team, so I know their weaknesses. So let's say Agent A, he's terrible at, let's say, PowerShell, a computer program, right? I know he can't do it, so I'm going to purposely assign him PowerShell, and he's going to learn it. How's he going to learn it? He's going to study it. He's going to take off phone time. We're a call center. He's going to learn it by asking the SMEs, the subject matter experts, what PowerShell is. He's going to do a PowerPoint. Now, a lot of these folks that are technicians, they don't have any computer skills. So they're actually gaining skills by going through this process that they never did a PowerPoint before. They never spoke publicly in front of others. This is fantastic. So now they're learning it. The second piece is teaching it. In an informal meeting on the floor through my peers, I'm assigning that individual to say, hey, here's your PowerPoint. Go over the topics, go over all the common calls. Now they're applying that to the team. So now they did the L, now they did the T, learn it, teach it. Now they're going to do the A. The apply it is in the lab. They're actually going to physically take that program and do a lab exercise in front of the team. And so I'm going through the adversity of managing my new team for the first time based on the teachings of raising children, and they are overcoming adversity themselves because they're public speaking. They're gaining informal training, not formal training, but training that I'm putting upon them. That's just a beautiful thing. And that's one of the things that I cover in my book is how to really break through those cycles.
Wow. So how did you feel inside when you were going through this adversity?
Yeah, it was challenging. Like I alluded to before, is oftentimes now there's a big misconception in the corporate world where a leader versus a manager. Now, a leader can be anyone. You could be a leader. I could be a leader. You have those qualities, but a manager is really just managing others and leading people to be better. And I was going through a learning curve myself, but when I started seeing everyone, connect, all of my peers, they're connecting through my guidance, through my teaching. I mean, that's just not only self-rewarding for me, but it really speaks to that they're respecting me. They know that I can lead them to get to where they want. I'm giving them skills that they never had before. So for me, I think seeing that I think is self-rewarding for what I'm doing. And and not and just because I'm a younger manager, they even told me they never had a manager like me. I was so different and leading them in informal training. So to hear that, input from them was self-rewarding for me too. So, and I just kept going further and further and further. And it just really led to individuals, getting awards and going this way or going to this. They want this job. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So it's fantastic to see.
So you said you're young. Were you like, how old were you?
So 2009, we're talking, yeah, I mean, I was probably, just around, 29, 30 years old, somewhere around there in corporate world. And, these folks are, much older, more wise in the respect of they've been to different places as an individual contributor, not as a manager. So they would rely on me. But oftentimes in the workplace, there's a big thing where you have to earn the respect, and being authentic is real. And it took a while, but I definitely earned their respect.
So the adversity that you went through was just being kind of a young manager at the
Right.
corporate world.
Yeah,
And
and actually my first time as a manager, because I got promoted just because of the same thing that I referred to before, is anyone can be a leader. Anyone, you have to really earn to be a manager. So they saw me, I was an individual contributor, and my director saw that I can be a leader, I can be more, and they promoted me. And this was my first time just diving into that. And at the same very moment, it was the first birth of my daughter. So I was using examples at home and bridging them into the workplace as a new manager. That's where I got my my informal gratification to really lead them is through my teachings at home. And that's a hell of a journey, and but yeah, they really respected that, and I really came a long way from doing that.
yeah, so I just wanted to share with you and our audience, when I
Yes.
was 18, I was homeless and I found a resort hotel job and then earned some money to come to Tokyo and then started the sales job. And I was 18, 19, selling stuff, like, just like whatever. And then I got promoted as a trainer at 19, and I had people above me, I mean, like, not above me, people below me who are older than me. And in Japan especially, we even have a polite word where we have to ask age. If you don't know, if maybe closer, then you have to immediately change the language to a polite
Mm.
word, where we really have to respect the age. If somebody is older, like even 1 year older than me. Now imagine a 19 years old girl, like sales trainer, like training or be in charge of people who maybe lost the job in their 30s or 40s, her family. I felt tremendous amount of pressure. And it was really in proportion to my sales, that how I present myself to our team at age 19 reflected my sales and in the team, and that was tremendous amount of pressure.
Ah, yes.
So I could kind of relate to the pressure, but I didn't have a child like you for that time. But I was coming through like, the adversity and homelessness, and then just a lot of kids at that age or going to college and enjoying the college life, partying or like studying, whatever. I didn't have that. I was working. And that really added me to feel miserable. And then it was very challenging in Tokyo. And, your story kind of reminded me of the pressure, like, managing older people.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a valid point you make. And another one for me that was really hard before I even got to this point is really proving yourself. And there's a lot of others. For me, I think it was fear. I think fear for me really drove me to become better. And I'll tell you why is before I became a manager, I was an individual contributor. I was in a call center. I was crushing it, doing 120 calls a day for a technical support call center and the corporate world before I was filming and all this. And in that particular time, I was doing other things that I probably shouldn't be. But even in my performance review, my manager at the time said, "Joe, you step outside the boundaries of your job," meaning that I'm trying to do a manager role. I'm doing my role and a manager's job better than a manager, and they see that. They're afraid of that. It was, and that fear kind of I saw it, I noticed it, and I really let it not eat me, but it let me feed off of it. So I would say, okay, I'm going to show them even more. I'm going to do this, do that, and then eventually the director said, Joe, you're different. We gotta make you. This is when the other guy retired. That I was, really, I want to say embarrassing, but I made it a point where to show them that I'm better than what you're doing for me. I could do more. But there's a certain point in your career is when you knew fear, got you. You don't want to let it eat up on you because there's a point in time in my career that I didn't want fear to be a product anymore. I didn't want to be a product of fear. So, for example, in my performance reviews as manager, I was really very aggressive, doing, probably 8, 12, 15 things. But the problem that I found is that these little things were missing my performance review. They all have value, but they were missed. So I'm just getting like a, okay review. So I decided that I wasn't going to care anymore. Not as much. I was going to do my job, but not be so particular on doing, all these things at once. Concentrate on 1, 2, 3 things. And guess what I got? I got a better performance review. So fear was something for me that I knew it was there, and people were afraid of me, and it just got me to the next level. I fought fear, and that's something you got to identify as well.
So when you're working in a corporate world, and then the people, like some of my friends, dear friends, are working in the corporate world, and as a higher up position, and the personal fear, personal life,
Hmm.
all the things that you have to kind of put your face out there when you go to work. So how did you manage yourself, and then those fears, and then personal struggles, having the baby, and carrying through the work? Do you remember those moments that, oh my gosh, like, can I do this?
Yeah, yeah, no, I do remember some of that, and I think what really helped me to get through all of that was really kind of what I alluded to a little bit before is not taking so much set goals for myself. So I know like this particular week, they might be, this might be going on or this might be going on. I think for me, at one point in my career, which I got better at, is I was always the yes guy, right? As a manager, I'm going to take on this. You got to say no, and you got to delegate this way, delegate that way. So as soon as I started delegating, there's a lot of relief, a lot of less stress in my life, and the fear thing really wasn't in my head as much. But I was really, really a yes guy. I had 4 or 5 different other managers, directors. Hey Joe, do this, Joe, do that. Okay, I'm being pulled this way, I'm being pulled that way. Well, I got to kind of take it in, and I'm going to delegate it to my alpha males in the call center where I know they can take on these mundane tasks where I don't need to be doing this. Send it that way, and I think that really helped me understand that I got to say no more. Not no to them, but they'll know that the job gets done by delegation, and I think that really helped me is really not become that yes guy, and then that really relieved a lot of my stress.
Absolutely. So I just want to share with you and our audience that um, I ran nonprofit for 12 years as a president and founder, teaching music to juvenile offenders in the detention programs. And as a founder and the president, I definitely struggled with saying yes and not so much no's. Now I went to BU, Boston University School of Management. There was a program called Institute for Nonprofit Management Leadership. It was 6 months program every Tuesday, and I learned tons of things. But first thing that we were taught to do was the SWOT, the strengths, the weakness. So SWOT analysis really helped me where my strengths and where my weakness. And one of the thing is like a manager or the leadership position that you feel obligated to do a lot. But
Mm.
then when you find out what your weakness is, then you start to ask help. So when I had my first son, and I asked some of the volunteer to lead some of the program for me, and then also my English is not mother language, that grant writing or sending the newsletters to our donors were not my forte. So I
Mhm.
delegated that to another people who are good at it, and then found interns, and then internships.com and interns, and then all these resources and the volunteers who are willing to help me. But the first step is really identifying your weakness, and then what you are good at or what you're not good at as a
Yep.
leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail on that. And I was actually also leading a nonprofit organization during my corporate time. There's a organization called HDI, stands for Help Desk Institute. I was the president of HDI for our local Connecticut chapter. And for me, I'm really good with people. So I would be, I'd have a budget. We would do like, meetings for basically lunch meetings, not just for my company, but anybody that wants to join HDI, they would get value. There'd be a speaker that would come in. So I would team up with my officers, and it would, each officer would have a set task. But I was really good about making money, right? So we were a nonprofit, but we got to pay for the food, right? We got to pay for the speakers. So I was really good about getting like 5 to 7, maybe $8,000, $9,000 a year just from talking to different companies. Hey, my name's Joe McGee. We're doing this. We would love to have you as a sponsor. And I would do that very consecutively. And that was one of my strengths, is this really engagement of different companies, and seeing the value of what we have to offer. And I think for me, during that time in corporate, that was another one of my strengths, was just meeting new organizations, new people, and really helping not just our company, but helping individuals, managers, and supervisors to really do different things differently. And I'd be even speak myself. But that was self-rewarding too. Is there's just so many different elements that I really enjoyed during the corporate time. Definitely.
Great. So let's actually give our audience some of maybe the tangible tools that you have used to maybe overcome adversity in the corporate world as a manager.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so much wealth I can give you. But like I mentioned before, I would say is identify certain things, whether it's fear for me, just recognize it, but find a way to overcome it and get around it. Don't be so critical on black and white. Being think about normalization, right? Like for example, I talk about one things in my book is, every day should be extraordinary, meaning that, hey, it's my birthday, let's do something special. No, every day can't be special, guys. So in the workplace, think about that is as you're managing your team or you're managing your people, not just, in corporate world, but any world, think about that. It doesn't have to be a holiday, a Christmas. Every day could be extraordinary. And it's your job to find that day and really bring people to you. So that I think that's important. The other thing that's important is simplicity. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? If you're trying to do a presentation, think about your audience. And I joke about this, but explain it to them as if they're an 8-year old, right? A very, very, not big words, because you don't know who your audience is. You got to know who your audience is. If you start going way up here high level and they're like low level, you're going to lose them. So know your audience, know who you're talking to, and fine tune your presentation, fine tune whatever you're going to do to that audience. I think that's important too.
Wonderful. Yes, just want to share one the tip that I got when I was working on grant application. And
Hmm.
then one of the founder sponsors, they told us the one of the important things is obviously using the hard data, anecdotal data on the grant application, but at the same time, use a language that grandma can even understand or kids can even
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, exactly,
Essentially, if you don't understand what you're talking about, they're not going to give you money. And it
exactly.
goes down to the easier way that you can translate what you are doing.
Yeah, absolutely right. I can't agree anymore. I've done the same thing. Is you got to know your audience. You got to know your audience.
Yeah, but I really like what you said about the birthday and then making every day
Yeah,
as an extraordinary day. And you never know when your time ends on this earth. And then why not? And as a leader, I think that sets the tone for
yeah,
the day. And as a leader, I think it's important. I was a leader, and not just my mental health or like my personal life, the strengths. One thing I really learned from sales job at age 18, 19 in Tokyo was I was taught to not bring my personal drama to work,
mm,
because you have people who are relying on your mood and then relying on your sales and then just the hard data that they're looking for, right? So
yeah,
like if I bring my personal drama, which was hard as at 90, you have to have like kind of a we have Japanese saying called neko kaburu, which means like a wear a cat mask in a so that means you really have to put like the social mask that you have to disguise whatever is going on at home.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could see that definitely could. If you're down, you're going to bring the team down. So you got to just mask that bad energy out, and just be you on your best day. You can't have that bad day to let everyone see it. And you're right. I mean, I joke around too. Is to my team, I don't like saying it, but I'm not your life coach. I'm here to support you, but I can't be personally, going over the drama you have at home. Let's focus on work here. You know.
Yes, absolutely. So, Joe, the last part of this show is
Yeah.
sharing a gift that came from the adversity. How would you say the gift that you learned from the adversity that you faced?
I think for me, I would say, you know, I think this is big is for me, and if anybody tells you otherwise, they're full of crap. I'm going to say it right now, but everyone doesn't know everything, right? So if you think you know everything, think again. Your adventure in no matter what field you're in, you're always going to be learning, right? So if you don't recognize that, you need improvement, whether it's whatever it could be, this topic or it could be on that, you need to really recognize that I don't know everything, and I need to work on my whatever it is, and they need to work on whatever it is. So if you're in that mentality where you go into a job or you're in a job, you're a veteran, you think you know everything, you're going to fall flat on your face. It might not be now, it might not be 2 days from now, it might not be a year, 5 years, or 10 years. But if you go through that mentality, you're going to fail. So just be cautious of that. Is you got to understand that not everyone knows everything, and I'll just say it like that.
Wonderful. So, Joe, is there any website or social media that you want people to follow?
Yeah, I would say just follow your heart as an individual. But as far as follow me, you want to know more about me, you can follow McGee Productions.us. That's my filmmaking. That's my passion right now is writing, directing, producing. McGee Productions.us. Facebook is facebook.com/McGee Pro. You can always find my email information on there if you want to talk about leadership management, adversity, or filming. Feel free to reach out to me.
Absolutely. And then one last question. I know you're working on upcoming film. Would you tell our audience a little bit about?
Absolutely. So Tony Martone, it's a mafia film about Tony Martone. He's the most respected man in East Providence, Rhode Island. He stumbled upon Ray Amato. The Amato family came onto his docks. Tony Martone owns all of East Providence. He knows his family's moving in. There's a conflict. So we've been trying to film that. The last scenes in November, somebody got COVID. December, somebody else got COVID, one of the actors. In January, we were supposed to film January 15th. I got COVID. So it's like a little curse right now, but we're hoping in March we're going to finalize the final scenes. That'll be out at a premiere somewhere in New England, and then we'll be on Amazon Prime. And then from there, we're doing When the Sun Dies. It's kind of like end of the world themed. The tagline is Save My Son, SON, or Save the Sun, SUN. So there's a connection there. I won't get into what that is, but the movie for that is Save the Sun movie.com, I believe, savethesunmovie.com, or McGeeProductions.us. So we'll have more information on that.
How exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really pumped about it.
Yeah, so I just want to end this show, but before that, do you have any last word for our audience?
No, I would say just keep fighting through those those demons in the closet. Everyone's here for you for moral support. Reach out to me. Reach out to your peers. Obviously, you have wealth of knowledge as well. Your book, A Gift from Adversity, tackles many subjects as well. So just be mindful of what those challenges are, and don't feel free to reach out to somebody that can help you, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Joe, again for coming to A Gift from Adversity today.
Yes, my pleasure. I had enjoyed our talk, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon.